The streets of Tokyo were deserted, save for the flickering neon lights of 24-hour shops. Yuki, bundled in a thick coat and scarf, walked towards a small convenience store. The frigid night air seeped through her clothes, and the sound of her footsteps echoed on the wet pavement. The scent of damp asphalt mingled with the aroma of hot coffee emanating from the store, while the silent, deserted city offered a sense of calm before the daily chaos. The bell above the door jingled as she entered. She grabbed a bottle of water and a packet of biscuits, but hesitated upon noticing a brown envelope partially hidden behind the counter. The clerk, a middle-aged man with weary eyes, shook his head when she inquired about the envelope. Yuki pocketed it, intrigued by the faded stamp bearing the design of an ancient fountain. Back home, under the dim light of a bedside lamp, she opened the envelope. Inside was a faded photograph of the Trevi fountain and a handwritten note, "The water never lies, but desires have a price." The handwriting was uneven, as if written in haste. On the back of the photo were geographical coordinates and a date, September 23, 1943. Yuki spent the night researching, trying to connect the fountain to historical events of that era. She found records of an Allied bombing raid nearby, but nothing specific about the monument. Around 3 in the morning, she stumbled upon a cryptic message on an online forum mentioning a buried artifact beneath the ruins of the Temple of Venus near the fountain. The connection was tenuous, but enough to book a flight to Rome the following morning. At Fiumicino Airport, Yuki met Luca, an Italian archaeologist who responded to a vague advertisement she'd posted hours earlier. He carried a worn leather folder and had a barely concealed skeptical expression. "Do you really think this isn't a waste of time?" he asked, pointing to the photograph of the monument. Yuki remained silent. They made their way to the historic center, where the afternoon sun cast long shadows on the statues of the Trevi fountain. Luca explained that the Temple of Venus was less than a kilometer away, but the ruins had been closed for renovations for years. "Officially," he added with a wry smile. As dusk fell, they scaled a low wall and entered the site, ignoring the danger warnings. The ground was littered with loose stones and remnants of columns. It was then that Luca stumbled upon something metallic, a dusty music box with a rusted key lodged in a corner. When wound, a discordant melody filled the air, a distorted version of Bella Ciao. Yuki immediately recognized it, the same song her grandmother used to sing to her as a child. The coincidence sent a shiver down her spine. Luca examined the box and noticed Latin inscriptions on the bottom, "Water of Destiny, Mirror of the Soul." As they noted the symbols, a man in black watched them from afar, speaking softly into a phone. The next morning, Yuki and Luca visited the Vatican secret archives, where an elderly archivist, after lengthy negotiations, allowed them to consult 18th-century documents. Among donation records and inventories, they found mention of a 3-keyed urn connected to pagan rituals for altering destiny. The description matched the music box, except for one detail. The original artifact was supposed to have 3 locks, not just one. As they left, they saw the man in black speaking with a guard. That night, they decided to test the box. They filled a bowl with water from the Trevi fountain and placed the object inside. The music, previously discordant, now sounded clear and harmonious, and the water began to form geometric patterns on its surface. Yuki saw fleeting images, her deceased mother smiling in a garden, an older Luca holding an ancient book, a shadowy figure in a stone corridor. When she tried to touch the water, a sharp pain shot through her arm, and she recoiled in fright. Luca suggested the box might be some kind of communication or projection device, perhaps related to quantum theories about water as a medium for storing information. But Yuki knew there was more. That night, she dreamt of the fountain dry, its waters replaced by sand, and a voice whispered, "The pact demands a mirror." On the 3rd day, they followed the coordinates in the envelope to an abandoned warehouse on the banks of the Tiber. There, they found a perfect miniature replica of the Trevi fountain, carved from black marble. Beneath the base was a secret compartment containing a 19th-century diary. Its pages described experiments with fountain water used to alter memories and influence future events. The author mentioned a sacrifice necessary to activate the artifact's full power, a true reflection, a soul surrendered in exchange for a wish. Yuki realized the music box was the first key, the miniature fountain the second, and the mirror likely the missing 3rd element. As they discussed this, the man in black appeared, accompanied by 2 security guards. He introduced himself as Valerio, a representative of an organization monitoring dangerous historical artifacts. "You have no idea what you're messing with," he said, extending a hand towards the box. Yuki recoiled. Valerio sighed. "The fountain's water can rewrite realities, but it always exacts a price. Every fulfilled desire takes something from the one who makes it." Yuki thought of her mother and the emptiness she still felt, even after so many years. She wondered if it would be worth revealing, even if it meant losing a part of herself. Luca, on the other hand, saw a chance to solve an unprecedented scientific mystery. As the sun set, the miniature fountain began to vibrate, and the water in Yuki's bowl overflowed, forming runes on the floor. Valerio approached, but Yuki, impulsively, threw the box into the water. The melody echoed loudly and distortedly, and for a moment, all the shadows in the warehouse stretched out, as if observing. When the music ceased, the box had vanished, and Yuki felt a strange lightness, as if something within her had been released. Luca stared at the empty space, thoughtful. Perhaps the true mystery isn't what the fountain does, but what we're willing to lose to discover it. Yuki didn't reply. She tucked the diary into her bag and left, unsure if she had made the right decision. The echo of the melody still lingered in the air as Yuki and Luca left the warehouse. The water in the bowl, now still, seemed to hold secrets. Valerio followed them silently, keeping his distance, but his presence was a constant shadow. That night, in a small hotel near the Pantheon, Yuki flipped through the 19th-century diary, translating passages with Luca's help. The pages spoke of a ritual where the Trevi fountain's water was used to write new destinies, demanding a sacrifice, a fragment of the user's soul trapped in a reflective object. "A mirror," murmured Luca, connecting the pieces. "The third element must be an ancient mirror, perhaps connected to the fountain itself." Yuki remembered the statue of Neptune at the fountain's northern end, holding a weathered bronze mirror. The next morning, they returned to the monument before dawn, when the site was empty. Neptune's mirror was cracked, but still reflected a distorted image. As Yuki touched the surface, an electric current surged through her arm, and for a moment, she saw herself in a past-century dress, surrounded by figures she didn't recognize. Luca, analyzing the statue's base, found a nearly erased inscription, "Given to the water returns multiplied." As they discussed the meaning, Valerio appeared, this time without the guards. "You're playing with something bigger than yourselves," he said, his voice more weary than threatening. "Every person who tried to use this power ended up disappearing or worse." He showed old photographs of people associated with the artifacts. A 19th-century scientist found dead in a river, a woman who vanished after writing about hearing voices in the water. But Yuki didn't back down. "What if we could break the cycle? Use the box, the mirror, and the fountain to redirect the price." Valerio chuckled humorlessly. "The price isn't negotiable. It's a direct exchange. Want to revive your mother? Fine. But something in you will die in the process. Perhaps your memory, your identity, or something you don't even know you have." Ignoring the warning, Yuki and Luca went to the Basilica di San Pietro in Vincoli, where an elderly monk told them about a stolen reliquary from World War II, an obsidian mirror used in pagan rituals, supposedly capable of capturing soul reflections. Rumor had it the reliquary was hidden in an underground chamber beneath the basilica. At midnight, with the monk's map, they descended a narrow passage behind the altar. The air was damp, and the sound of dripping water filled the tunnel. At the end, they found a circular room with mosaic walls depicting scenes of sacrifice. In the center, on a stone pedestal, was the obsidian mirror, its surface opaque and cold. As Yuki touched it, she saw again the shadowy figure from the warehouse, this time clearer, a woman in dark robes, holding a replica of the music box. "She was the first," whispered the voice from her earlier dream. "She paid the price, but didn't fulfill the pact." Before they could react, the passage behind them collapsed, blocking their exit. The only light came from the mirror, now glowing with a bluish hue. Luca, examining the walls, noticed the mosaics changed as the mirror's light fell upon them. "It's a map," he said. "It shows how to combine the three elements." Reluctantly, Yuki positioned the music box before the mirror. The water in her bowl began to spiral, and the music box's melody echoed in harmony with the ambient sound. The figure vanished, But Yuki felt a strange lightness, as if something within her had been released. She looked around, trying to understand what had happened. The world seemed clearer, but also emptier. Luca, beside her, seemed in a state of shock, as if trying to process everything they had experienced. They walked in silence, the mirror fragments weighing heavier in her bag. That night, Yuki returned to the hotel and opened the 19th-century diary, reading the pages intently. The words seemed to echo in her mind, as if alive. She realized the Trevi fountain's water wasn't just a symbol, but an ancient force, connected to secrets that transcended time. The music box, the mirror, and the diary were parts of a whole, and she was now a part of that cycle. But what had she lost? And what could she still gain? The next day, she decided to leave Rome. She knew she couldn't stay, for the past called to her, and the future seemed uncertain. Before departing, she placed the mirror fragments in the Trevi fountain, as if returning something that didn't belong to her. In doing so, she felt a wave of warmth course through her body, and for a moment, she saw her mother smiling in the water's reflection. When the image faded, she knew the journey had ended, or perhaps had only just begun.